let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to call to order the meeting for the Brentwood Board of Aldermen, July 16th, 2018. If you would all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Thornton?
I'm here.
Alderman Dimmitt?
Here.
Alderman Kramer?
Present.
Alderman Leahy?
Here.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Here.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Here. Alderman Plufka?
Here.
Alderwoman Sims?
Here.
Alderman Awege?
Here. All right, looks like we got a quorum. We've already done the Pledge of Allegiance. Item number 3 on the agenda is approval of tonight's agenda. Are there any amendments to this evening's agenda? I have 2 that I would recommend to the board. The first is to remove item 10A or postpone it until our next meeting. My understanding is we're awaiting some additional information from MoDOT, and we're not prepared to take that up at this time. And the second would be a motion to have a first and second reading of all bills under new business this evening, as all of them need to be first and second read, because this is our only meeting this month. So if anyone would see their way clear to making those motions.
I move that we alter the agenda to remove item 10A and to change the balance of the items under section 10 to first and second reading.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we postpone item 10A until our next meeting, and that we have a first and second reading of all the items of new business under item 10. Is there any discussion on the motion? Alderman Dimmitt.
I don't know if this is appropriate under this motion, Mr. Chairman, but under the new procedure, under this consent agenda that we had, if we want to remove something from that, do we do that now, or do we do that when we?
Actually, we'll do it when that item
Okay.
comes up. Yep. Any other discussion on this motion as stated? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to amend the agenda as I stated earlier, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Great. Unanimously, we have an agenda. Item number 4 on the agenda is announcements. We have a proclamation this evening. I understand that Luis Del Castillo is with us. All right. Alderman Kramer, do you have that proclamation?
I do, Your Honor. Just one moment. Please stand by.
Sorry, we're fumbling around with our new electronic system a little bit, so be patient with us.
This is a proclamation from the city of Brentwood in the state of Missouri in recognition of Eagle Scout Luis Del Castillo. Whereas Luis Del Castillo is a recent graduate of Brentwood High School, he was a member of the conference champion boys soccer team and conference champion boys tennis team. In addition, Luis was a member of the French Club and is a proud member of the Army National Guard. In his spare time, Luis enjoys completing community projects, much like the agility obstacles training he completed for the Brentwood Dog Park. Next year, Luis will be attending Missouri University of Science and Technology. And whereas the purpose of the Boy Scouts of America, incorporated on February 8th, 1910, and chartered by Congress in 1916, is to provide an educational program for boys and young adults to build character, to train in the responsibilities of participating citizenship, and to develop personal fitness. Luis grew up in the scouting program as an active member of Boy Scout Troop 301. And whereas Luis chose to build 2 agility obstacles as his Eagle Scout project in order to add an amenity to the Brentwood Dog Park, he led a group of scouts, his friends and adults, to build these obstacles to benefit the dogs and our community. And whereas the scouting program has shaped Luis to do his best for God and country, inspired by leaders in scouting and the community, he's learned how everyone can contribute to the good of all. The challenges of the scouting program have provided many fond memories and have taught him to persevere in the face of challenges. Whereas Luis is a Brotherhood member in the Order of the Arrow, Camping Honor Society of Scouting, whereas through his active community involvement and good citizenship, Luis has demonstrated his personal character of living the Scout oath and law in his daily life and has shown to be an asset to our Brentwood community. And so now, therefore, I, Mayor Christopher Thornton, Mayor of Brentwood, by the authority vested in me as the mayor, and on behalf of the Board of Aldermen for the city of Brentwood, do hereby congratulate Eagle Scout Luis Del Castillo for his accomplishments and further urge everyone to continue to support the Boy Scouts of America in all their endeavors. The 16th day of July, 2018.
When do you go to Rolla? When do you go to Rolla?
Oh, in August.
August? Are you going down for the trig review?
For the what, sorry?
Trigonometry review?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
My alma mater. The trigonometry review was the best week of the summer, I can tell you that. Congratulations, and Mr. Del Castillo, very well done. Your hard work shows. All right, we have also, I'm sorry, I've lost my place. We have also centennial events. Alderman Lockmiller.
Yeah, I'd like to give an update. In front of you, you got one of the blue form. That's our schedule of events for the Brentwood Century Foundations through 2019. And also, you can go to brentwood100.org if for the people in the audience would like to see it. Along those lines, we are also having a barbecue on August 9th at the Community Center, and that's to get volunteers to help out with some of the activities that will take place in 2019. So you're welcome to attend and learn more about the schedule. And then finally, on August 14th, we have Brentwood Night at Busch Stadium. Tickets are $20. Once again, you can go online and buy tickets at brentwood100.org. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I'd like to volunteer Keith Ravenberg for the barbecue. He
May
does
have
the
already been
best
passed.
job I know. Yeah. So, all right, thank you very much. Public hearings, I don't think we have any this evening. Under item number 6, we have mayor and alderman reports.
We actually do.
I'm sorry?
We do have a public hearing.
Oh, great. There's nothing on the agenda that tells me what it's about, so I'll be interested to know.
If you could recognize Lisa Kortenmeier. It's a
Okay, Lisa
moratorium.
Kirkemeyer. She seems to know.
Thank you. Like you said, we're all kind of getting used to this
Sure,
whole electronic way of
believe me.
doing things, so thanks for recognizing me. So the public hearing tonight is for an item that's later on the agenda, and the item that it's related to would be Bill Number 6209, the moratorium on Manchester Renewal Project Area. So that is a process that requires public hearing by the Board of Aldermen. So the public hearing tonight has been properly legally posted. There has been a notice that was published in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, as well as the Countian, and also any property that was in the project area that this involves was also given notice on July 3rd about the public hearing and the moratorium tonight. So that's what the purpose of the public hearing is, and I can give a presentation then when the item is later on the agenda, or?
Sure.
Okay,
Do that.
thank you.
All right, so I will gavel in the public hearing. Public hearing on Bill Number 6209, the moratorium on developing the Manchester Road project area, is now open. If anyone would care to come forward and address the Board of Aldermen on the topic of the moratorium, please come forward and be heard. And I'm hearing crickets. Going once? Going twice? Public hearing is now closed. Now on to reports, yeah? Okay. Reports, I don't have anything to report this evening other than it was a really hot day today. So I wouldn't recommend playing charity golf on days that are over 100 for heat index. It's a lot of fun. Oh, okay.
Library board.
Sure. Apparently I'm making some appointments.
Yes. 3 of them.
Right, so I'm making, yeah, all right. I remember doing this, it just wasn't on my, all right. So I have 3 appointments to make this evening to the Board of Library Trustees. As you know, the library is operated as a separate and distinct public entity. It's governed by the Board of Trustees. The appointment of the trustees is the duty of the mayor with the approval and consent of the Board of Aldermen. So this evening, on the recommendation of our librarian, I am appointing L. Ashmore Rupel. Yeah. Sheila Linkman. Is Sheila here? I thought I saw her earlier. Ah, there she is. I thought I saw you. And Libby Wilson. Thank you. Libby Wilson to the library board. So I entertain a motion to approve those appointments as made.
So moved.
Second, Your Honor.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the appointments of these 3 individuals to the Board of Trustees of the library. Is there any discussion on the appointments? Seeing none, all in favor of approving these appointments, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? And it's unanimous. All three are appointed to the Board of Aldermen. Congratulations, or appointed to the Board of Library Trustees. What the hell? You can come up and be on the Board of Aldermen too. It's fine. Yeah. So, Board of Library Trustees, congratulations. You've won the ability to come to a meeting every twice a month for, as long as you want. 3 years. Okay. That's it for me. Alderman Dimmitt.
No report.
Alderman Leahy.
No report.
Alderman Lockmiller.
No report.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
No report.
Alderman Plufka.
No report.
I'm guessing the other two.
No report.
Alderwoman Sims.
No report.
Alderman Waggy. Ward 2 continues to kick butt. So if you want a good butt kicking, head on over to Ward 2. And Alderman Kramer, you've been left off entirely, but.
That's okay. No report.
All right, very
Please
good.
note.
Okay, City Administrator, do you have a report?
Thank you, Mayor Thornton. I do have a report tonight, but I've asked Craig Schluter with Navigate Building Solutions, to present it. It's going to be a little bit more comprehensive.
Mr. Schluter, come up.
Hi, good evening. I'm Craig Schiller with Navigate Building Solutions, the owner representative for the Manchester Renewal Project. The typical city administrator update, the first page is similar to what we've done in previous months, but I'll go in a little more detail on the back side of the page. Going through the financial update of the project, this pay period goes through May 31st of 2018. The city incurred no cost for the investment costs. In regard to the direct project costs, the city spent $76,820.55, and that was spent on the Manchester Road Improvements Preliminary Design and the 353 redevelopment plan. The indirect or sunk cost, $50,826.65, was spent on property acquisition legal fees, project management fees, surveying, the STP grant application, and some printing of project plans. Any questions on the first page?
Any questions for Mr. Schluter on this?
All right, flipping over to page number 2. So we just wanted to take a second to just give everyone an update on where everything is in regards to Manchester Renewal. So the Manchester Road Improvements, TWM, that's the civil engineer, is working on the right-of-way plans. Those are due on July 23rd. Those will be reviewed and estimated, and that'll allow MoDOT to start working on the MoDOT property acquisitions that are scheduled to start on October of 2018. They're currently projecting that timeframe to go from October of 2018 to December of 2019. The final drawings will be completed by April of 2020. Permanent approvals will go out to June of 2020. Bidding and procurement will go between June and September of 2020, and then construction will take 2 years. So we've been presenting these dates. The dates were pretty much unchanged, but it's good for you guys to understand that a lot of things are happening behind the scenes, and sometimes you don't get an update that begs questions, but a lot of movements happening, and we'll see a lot more activity once those right-of-way plans are done and the property acquisitions start this fall. The Phase 1 flood mitigation, the property acquisitions, the voluntary acquisitions have been going on for quite some time, but the next phase of property acquisitions will start this week with some letters being issued. Design permitting, assuming the Board of Aldermen approves Jacob's contract tonight that I'll be talking on shortly, that'll start the design of the flood mitigation Phase 1, which is a very critical milestone for this project because the city's been working on discussions and flood studies for so long, and we're finally going to bring tonight that contract that allows that design to start. So that's a big milestone. So that, assuming the board approves their contract tonight, the flood mitigation Phase 1 will take 18 months. We are hoping to start an early construction package, which is a demolition package to get the site prepped next spring. That will last between May of 2019 and February of 2020. And then the overall design will be completed by March of 2020, and that project's currently scheduled to be a 2-year time frame, which will allow that flood mitigation Phase 1 to be done March of 2022. So again, you haven't gotten an update in a little while. There's been a lot of things going on. I'm going to tell you about the design phase that we've been going through the past couple of months. But with the approval of that contract, it'll really allow a lot of work to commence because that design phase is a very big step to that project. Any questions on the schedule?
Any questions about that? Okay,
One quick
Sure.
question.
good. Alderman Wiggy.
GRG, we were expecting an MOU or something to be signed, I believe, a couple months ago. Has that happened? Because I haven't heard.
It did, I believe, at the last meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed it. Thanks.
No worries.
Other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Craig.
Great, thank you.
It's been approved. You don't, I'll send it to you.
Oh, let's see, we have, okay, so number 8 on our agenda this evening is our brand-new, and our first test drive of our consent agenda. And the way I'd like to work this is, what I will do is begin item number 8 by reading through the items that are on the consent agenda. At that point in time, I'll ask if there are any questions about any of those items, right? And then we can go from there, right? So if from those questions it looks like something might need to come off the consent agenda, then we can do that. If it looks like from those questions we can just move forward with it, then we'll do that, all right? So on tonight's consent agenda are the approval of the meeting minutes from Monday, June 18th of 2018. We have our standing committee reports. That's the report of the Public Safety Committee, Public Works, and the Ways and Means Committee. We don't have any licenses, I don't believe. We have approval of bid openings for professional investment services regarding the Manchester Renewal COP funds. We have approval of bid openings for the professional services for the design team for Jacobs Engineering. I guess the firm formerly known as CH2M Hill? Correct. Got it. All right, so, well, I saw Phil, so let's see. We have the warrant list for the 2018 budget. We have the warrant list that represents the funds that will be expended from the COP trust. We have resolution number 1100, which is the design team agreement for the Manchester Renewal Project, and that's the actual contract itself. Then we have resolution number 1101, which is the actual contract for the investment services that I spoke of. And then we have resolution 1103, that would authorize the disposition of obsolete fire equipment to retired firemen or current firemen. And then finally, on the consent agenda this evening, we have a task order pertaining to planning and zoning services and land use visioning session that's related to our moratorium and zoning efforts in the Manchester Renewal Place. So are there any questions about any of the items on the consent agenda? Alderman Leahy.
On the last one, Your Honor, the task order change, that goes out for about a 2-year period, but we're doing a moratorium for 6 months. That seems to be contradictory. Did I miss something?
Yes.
Please.
So the task order is to engage PGAV planners to work with Lisa during the moratorium period on land use zoning while we, during the moratorium, to make sure that the uses that we would allow for the different areas along Manchester Road corridor would be permitted according to the comprehensive plan and according to the long-term vision of the city. So it's just for a short duration of time during the 6 months.
They need less than 6 months to be.
I
able to-
believe it will take less than 6 months, absolutely.
And they're playing more with the code side of everything. as to
Absolutely.
What we would plan to put down there after we get it.
Yes, you understand it.
Okay, I read it differently.
Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Thank you. I had a question about the minutes, because there are no minutes attached
Okay.
this month. Next month, could we have the minutes attached?
They're attached.
They're in
They're
there.
attached.
I did not, I don't have any.
Scroll up.
If you click on the word minutes approval Monday,
There you go.
No, those
no,
are,
go to your
no,
minutes.
I have no little icon under minutes.
It's not an attachment, but it's in the items. It says
yeah.
Ah, thank you.
The first time I got into it, I didn't have any agenda. I had no agenda items. I had nothing.
All right.
It was just white screen. I'm like,
I have to spend time playing with buttons.
I read it elsewhere, but I
You
did
don't
not
see
see it on here, so.
Alderman Plufka.
Thank you. With regard to
It's the same.
8H and the agreement for the Manchester Renewal Project, authorizing us to enter into the agreement. As I understand it, it looks like all we're deciding tonight within the consent agenda is the 15% of the anticipated overall design cost. We're authorizing a little over $2 million to begin that process. Is that?
That's correct,
Okay.
yes.
And that those other panels having to do with GRG connector and the estimated costs there, and then the other costs with regard to the streetscape, those are still all just estimates, and those are not being put forward for action
Not
as
for
part of
action
this.
tonight, but we have negotiated those costs with CH2M Jacobs Engineering, so that when we're ready, we will come back formally before the board and ask for approval.
But I thought that even the 17 million was still up in the air as to whether or not it was gonna, that was just an estimate on their part. That wasn't actually a
Right,
precise,
right,
okay, so that number could still change,
could
and certainly
change.
those other numbers could change.
right.
But what we're being asked to vote on tonight is,
The
in the
2.5.
consent agenda, is the 2 point, was it
I think
2.5?
it's- I think it's 2.5.
I couldn't get the actual page to come up again, but, okay, thank you. I think I understand.
All right, so are there any further questions about the consent agenda? At this time, is there any desire to remove any of these items from the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, if someone was so inclined to make a motion to approve all of the items on the consent agenda, yeah, then I would listen.
I make a motion to approve all the items under 8 on the consent agenda.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Aldermen approve all the items listed under item number 8 on the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Demmett,
Yes.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Legge,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill,
Yes.
Alderman Klufka,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
and Alderman Weggie.
Yes. All right, by unanimous vote, the consent agenda items have been approved. Number 9 is old business, and I don't believe we have any old business at this time. Item number 10 on the agenda is new business, and pursuant to our change in the agenda, the first item under new business is bill number 6209. Mr. City Attorney, can we have a first reading by title only, please?
I went to the wrong one. I'm sorry. Let's go to the correct one.
Nice to have you on the team.
I missed a few meetings too.
You know.
Okay. Which is
I think I have it in front of me.
sorry. Bill number 6209, first reading, an ordinance imposing a moratorium of up to 6 months on development or change of use of property located within the eastern portion of the Manchester Road sub-area plan to allow sufficient time for a proper land use study, effective community engagement, comprehensive plan update if necessary, and consideration of any appropriate zoning text amendments or other actions.
All right, thank you. I guess at this point in time, we usually take questions. Is that still something we're going to do?
Their presentation?
You could, if you wish the staff to make a presentation about it, or ask if there are any questions. There's already been a motion and a second to proceed to second reading, so this
Right.
would be the time for discussion.
Right, well, this would typically be the time for questions, not discussion of the substantive matter, but factual. But Lisa, do you have something prepared on this? Yeah? Okay.
It's a moratorium. Question?
I think get one of those on meetings, we'd be in good shape.
So very much related to Craig's earlier comments this evening regarding the status of where we're at with Manchester Road flood mitigation and the renewal project. Following the adoption of the 2018 comprehensive plan this past April, which you all were very involved with, at every public meeting, of course, there was always, the number one priority was to fix the flooding on Manchester Road. So because of that, there was a more detailed sub-area for Manchester Road that was placed in the comprehensive plan. And even though it was more comprehensive than just some general requirements that the city would follow, this moratorium will actually allow us the time to take the planning and the zoning to the next level. So again, there was some more level of detail that was provided to Manchester Road and how we would go back with the redevelopment of it in the comp plan. This again would allow us to work with PGAV planners, and what would happen during up to the next 6 months, which again, I feel pretty confident that we will get this done within the next 6 months. But it will allow us time to engage with the community once again and put together a master plan for the redevelopment of Manchester Road. It would also allow us then to take a look at our existing zoning requirements, and based upon what the master plan and the vision for the area is, to see if those zoning requirements that our existing zoning requirements would work, or if amendments maybe would need to be made to our zoning code at that time. So again, this 6 months would allow us time to do that. And what it would do for the properties in this study area is the moratorium would be for development applications or change of use to property. So for the next few months, we would not entertain development applications or change of use of property for these 80-some parcels that are in the study area.
Are there any questions for staff on the moratorium? Alderman Plefka.
Thank you. So the moratorium keeps individual property owners within the flood mitigation area from bringing forward proposed changes in the zoning of their properties as they exist.
Right, when I guess I mentioned development applications, I would be speaking of rezoning applications,
Right.
conditional use permits, and even major site plan changes.
Is this required because without it, planning and zoning would have to entertain those?
Correct, we would still accept, it would be business as usual, and we would still accept applications as they would come in.
But couldn't part of the conversation just be, hey, we're in the middle of this transformative process, this isn't a good idea to do this now, or are they constrained from doing that on a piecemeal basis?
Absent a moratorium, the city does not have the right to say that an application will be delayed or that an application will not be approved because we envision there might be something else required by our regulatory scheme after a given time. So in order to preserve the status quo, avoid property owners from wasting their time and money on projects which are problematic, and in order to preserve the status quo so that appropriate planning and visioning can take place, the moratorium allows everyone to stand down and let's think about what happens, and property owners are fully a part of that conversation. And then develop the regulatory scheme going forward and have it in place. Then everyone can make informed judgments about how they want to deal with the property.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Lockman.
Lisa, I guess on July 11th, it was brought before planning and zoning. What were their concerns or?
I think they've been so involved with the process as well from the beginning, and even, as I mentioned, through the whole 2018 comprehensive plan update. So they were excited to see it. They understand that, again, this is the next increment that we take in terms of the regulatory control. Comp plan, again, deals with land use, and it is just a framework. You really don't get into the regulatory part of it until you really address the zoning. So they just see this as an extension of what was already started with the comp plan process, and it was recommended for approval, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Alderman Dimmitt.
Mr. Chairman, thanks. Is there a time limit on how long this moratorium can last?
It's 6 months in the ordinance.
But other than that, are there any limitations imposed by, is there legal standards that you can't have it for more than 6 months?
No, in fact, there is case law supporting, from a constitutional perspective, supporting moratoria of well more than a year.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's some very long ones that have been endorsed by the courts.
And so we came up with 6 months, we're just on the
It's
assumption that that's
I
enough.
believe it's a realistic estimate of the work involved.
Okay.
And then, of course, if it's not, if more time is required, you can be asked to extend it, or if the regulations are before you, adopted and in place, I presume you would act to terminate it
Shorten
sooner.
it. Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? All right, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney, can we have the second reading by title only, please?
Bill number 6209, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance imposing a moratorium of up to 6 months on development or change of use of property located within the eastern portion of the Manchester Road sub-area plan to allow sufficient time for a proper land use study, effective community engagement, comprehensive plan update if necessary, and consideration of any appropriate zoning text amendments or other actions.
Anyone care to make a motion to perfect this bill?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Aldermen perfect Bill number 6209 into ordinance form. Discussion is now appropriate. Any discussion on Bill 6209? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call, please.
Alderman Dimmitt,
Yes.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Leahy,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill,
Yes.
Alderman Plufka,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
Alderman Weggie.
Yes.
Bill number 6209 passes and upon signature of the mayor becomes ordinance number 4847.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Bill number 6211. Mr. City Attorney, can we have the first reading of 6211 by title only, please?
Bill number 6211, first reading, an ordinance amending the Brentwood City Code relating to restrictions on the use of parks.
And are there any questions for staff relating to Bill number 6211? Okay, seeing none, Mr. City Attorney, can we have second reading by title only, please?
Bill number 6211, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance amending the Brentwood City Code relating to restrictions on the use of parks.
All right, thank you. Anyone care to make a motion to perfect this bill?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Aldermen perfect Bill number 6211 into ordinance form. Discussion is now appropriate. Discussion on 6211? Alderman Kramer.
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to add a clarification here for those who may be unaware that Bill 62101 is to provide it to be unlawful for any person to excavate, dig into, or disturb any park property, or remove any item from on or beneath the surface of land within any city park or city property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Dimmitt,
Yes.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Leahy,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill,
Yes.
Alderman Plufka,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
Alderman Weggie.
Yes.
I count that as unanimous.
And bill number 6211 passes and upon signature of the mayor becomes ordinance number 4848.
All right, next item on the agenda is Bill number 6212. Mr. City Attorney, can we have the first reading of 6212 by title only, please?
Bill number 6212, first reading, an ordinance approving and authorizing execution of a contract with St. Louis County, Missouri for next generation 911 service.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for staff regarding Bill number 6212? Sorry. Okay, seeing none, Mr. City Attorney, can we have second reading by title only, please?
Bill number 6212, second reading and consideration for adoption, an ordinance approving and authorizing execution of a contract with St. Louis County, Missouri for next generation 911 service.
Thank you. Would any alderman care to make a motion to perfect Bill number 6212?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Bill number 6212 be perfected into ordinance form. Discussion is now appropriate. Is there any discussion on 6212? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Dimmitt,
Yes.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Leahy,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill,
Yes.
Alderman Plufka,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
Alderman Weggie.
Yes.
Bill number 6212 passes and upon signature of the mayor becomes ordinance number 4849.
All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is Bill number 6213. Mr. City Attorney, can we have the first reading of 6213 by title only, please?
Bill number 6213, first reading, an ordinance authorizing the city of Brentwood, Missouri to initiate condemnation proceedings and authorizing certain city officials to execute all instruments necessary to carry out the intent of this ordinance and ordinance number 4845.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for the staff regarding Bill number 6213? Alderman Plufka.
I would just have a question about the nature of the form letter. Is that a letter that's drafted from proposed legislation or from, the letter to the property owner?
I believe, and you might ask Mr. Mello.
Uh, yeah,
I believe the letter reflects the elements required by the condemnation statute.
Okay. That's what I was wondering. Thank you.
Yep. Any further questions for staff or any of our professional help about this bill? No, seeing none. All right, very good. Mr. City Attorney, can we have the second reading by title only, please?
Bill number 6213, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance authorizing the city of Brentwood, Missouri to initiate condemnation proceedings and authorizing certain city officials to execute all instruments necessary to carry out the intent of this ordinance and ordinance number 4845.
All right, thank you. Would any alderman care to make a motion to perfect bill number 6213?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the Board of Aldermen perfect bill number 6213. Discussion is now appropriate. Is there any discussion on bill 6213? Any discussion on 6213? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Dimmitt,
Yes.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Leahy,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill,
Yes.
Alderman Plufka,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
Alderman Waggy.
Yes.
Unanimous. Bill number 6213 passes, and upon signature of the mayor becomes ordinance number 4850.
All right, thank you. Item number 11 on tonight's agenda are citizens' comments. If anyone would care to come forward and address the Board of Aldermen on any topic, you come forward, state your name and address, and you'll be given at least 3 minutes to do so.
Hughes, I live on Urban, and I have just one quick question. What jumps out at me on this moratorium bill are the words effective community engagement, and I'm just wondering if someone could address exactly what that is going to entail.
To the extent that I can, I will after we do
Okay,
the
cool.
citizen
All right,
comments.
thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else care to come forward and address the Board of Aldermen? Going once? Oh, Mrs. Fitzgerald.
Patty Fitzgerald, Radley Court. This is the weirdest meeting I've been to in a long time. You could have just phoned it in.
Yep.
No discussion, no synopsis, nothing, no questions. It's just yes, 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 okay, done, 30 minutes, great. I know you don't want to have the synopsis, and that could be a wordy thing, I understand that, but I think there could be a compromise. Maybe a two-line explanation. Often, Mayor, you say, a yes vote means this, a no vote means that. There's no explanation, no discussion of any of the things. There's a bunch of stuff we're sitting out there going, yeah, really? And the people at home know even less. So I just don't, there's not a lot of information. There was no reports from any of the committees. Citizen comment at the beginning of the meeting is not there. Now we have it at the end. I mean, not a whole lot of information available or going around. I have to say.
Thank you. Would anyone else care to come forward and address the Board of Aldermen?
Karen Smith, 8930 Harrison. I would echo the previous commenter. This was a very different meeting. And I was just actually typing up an email to Lisa and Bola. I'm not I know I can't see what properties you're acquiring as you're acquiring them and negotiating, but after they're done, I'd love to know the specific properties that were acquired for Manchester Road improvements, the specific properties that are acquired for flood mitigation, and the specific properties that are required for the DRG connector. Because I'm trying to understand, I was under the impression that any other development that might happen along Brentwood would be parcels of property that were kind of needed to be acquired in order to make those other three things happen. And I'm just a little concerned that we're doing a little bit of a land grab here, and I am a firm believer in property rights. I'm very hopeful that our city isn't doing some of the things that it has done previously. And just FYI, I don't know if the laws have changed at all, but I know back in like around 2004, when there was some redevelopment happening, and there was several of us in the community that were interested in seeing a moratorium until we could get more public engagement and understand what was really happening in our community. And we were told that you could not do a moratorium, that was not allowed. So I find it interesting that now all of a sudden we can do moratoriums in Brentwood. So I don't know if there was some law change at the state level that allows municipalities to do that now or not, but thank you.
Thank you.
Karen.
Anyone else care to come forward and address the Board of Aldermen? Going once? Going twice? All right, we'll close public comment. Would any alderman care to respond to any of the public comment? Okay, as promised, I'll take the one that I'm sorry.
Barb Hughes.
I'm sorry?
Barb Hughes.
No, what was the point?
Public
Community
engagement.
Yeah.
Engagement in the moratorium.
So yeah, the moratorium engagement. So the whole goal of the moratorium is to look at the comprehensive plan that was developed for that sub-area and to look at the type of zoning that was recommended by the comprehensive plan. And now that we're more fully down the road with the Manchester Renewal Project, is to engage the public and I would say provide a more detailed implementation of the recommendations and to see if any changes need to be made in the comprehensive plan. So I think Lisa and her team have done a really good job of making sure that all of the, and I'm going to say all the business owners, because really all the property owners down there are the business owners. There's no residential property involved. Have been doing a really good job of keeping the business owners involved in every step of the way. So I think that is the public engagement that is being talked about when we talk about that sort of thing. Yeah, specifically the people, well, I think it's not limited to that, but I think that's the primary people that we're talking to, is because they're going to be the primary ones affected. I think the other part of that is to, look at what the comprehensive plan recommended as development for that area, the type of use that property could be put to, right, that would be best for the community, in the best interest of the community, and to engage the remainder of the public in sort of that type of discussion as well. So they're all open meetings. I mean, they're not by any means restricted to that group of people at all. But since they're the people who have, the most skin in the game, I suspect that they're going to be the ones that are going to receive the most of our attention when it comes to public outreach. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Sure.
Both the comprehensive plan process and the zoning text process require public hearings at which any member of the public
Right.
can be heard.
Right.
So it's not more emphasis on one
Right.
owner or one group than another, and which is what the moratorium is designed to allow that opportunity for everybody to have input.
Right. And I certainly didn't mean to say it would be limited to that group. I'm just saying in terms of focusing on people most impacted by these things, I think we have done a very good job of reaching out to the people who are immediately impacted as much as possible and keeping them in step with the game. But absolutely, all 100% wide open to anybody who wants to come and express an opinion as to what we should be doing. Okay. Any other questions? Any other response? Okay, seeing none. We do not have a closed meeting this evening, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that the Board of Aldermen adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? We're adjourned.